Hello, Professor. This is Mansoor Farouk with the Mean Stack Hello World messaging presentation for class, for Computer Science 631. Sampling technology, Mean Stack. So this brief video is for as you're instructed to create a Hello World under 5 minutes, an overview of your environment, Hello World with a basic messaging system which stores all the messages. There are tutorials which I did use, but you said you wanted to improvise on storing data on the Mongo database. A discussion about the issues you had, an example of when a developer would use the technology. So in the background, while I'm setting everything up, I'll talk about the latter. An example of when a developer used the technology. So first, it's good to understand what mean is. The M stands for Mongo database, E stands for Express as the web framework, the A is the Angular JS front end framework, and the N is Node.js as a server platform. And there are many advantages of having a mean stack. Single language is used throughout the whole entire thing. JSON is used for transferring data. The support for MVC patterns. Node.js has a huge module library, and it's also open source, so that's really good. First off, to go on and talk about why a developer would use the technology and why, besides from what I did is from what I googled, and what came up that was very popular was user authentication. So with you use the Mongo database to store data. The passwords are hashed. You have CRUD functions that are built in the Express API, where you can create, login, get profile, update, delete. An Angular application calls the API and deals with the responses. The Express API generates a JSON web token upon registration or login and passes to the Angular application, and so on. So now to talk about some issues I had. Now I wanted to install Mean on my Linux Ubuntu 16.04. One thing that I did not realize right away is the date of this article is 2016, so a lot of the repositories were outdated. However, I did not see that, and I simply started following the instructions to install MongoDB, Node.js, NPR and Bower, and run gulp and start our first application. However, our first Mean application. However, these instructions are great. They have some verification in them, but what I realized that a lot of the instructions here are outdated. It is 2017 now. These are almost a year old. So that was one big issue I had. So I had to take a different approach. And now let me open my VirtualBox. So we have Mean2 running. Mean was my example, and I will start off with just showing you some verification of the Hello World environment before I move on to my Visual Studio project as well. So you can open a new terminal, and simply by inputting, we would do to check the versions, so you can see that I have them installed. If you simply type node v, I'm using version 8.21 for Node.js, and for the npm version, you just type npm v, and you get 5.30. And to show you that my Mongo database is installed, we can simply just check the status by doing service Mongo database status, and that should give it to us, right? Yeah, so as you can see, it's active and it's running. You can minimize that for now, but before I give you I'll show you the code, let me show you the application, what I've done. So if you go to localhost port 880, and I can show you where I entered that as well. So let's say my name is Mansoor. Well, it is Mansoor. My message is hello professor. Hope you are enjoying this video. and so it stores the messages. So if someone goes, if another user comes in and enters that, they'll see the messages and they'll see the counter for the messages. So let's just say now my name is John, testing. It'll keep storing it, and if you go there again, as you can see, it holds up the counter, but simply by clicking them, it'll delete them, and I'll show you that in the code as well, how I managed to do that. So that's the hello world. This is again installing. I didn't do the whole tutorial of installing Mean the way they wanted to, so I just ended up installing Node, Angular, and Mongo database, and these were the instructions where I got them from. So you go to my Visual Studio, start with the index. That's what you saw on the local host, the form for the username, message list, and I'll show you where. So this is the header, and I'll show you where. So right here, port 880 in the server.js, you can see I could change that, how to set the port number. We created our app with Express, Mongoose for Mongo database, load the database config, and we create an instance. Go to database.js, that's where the local URL is. This is a function to return a promise to object, messages, and the main. And again, I did this in separate files, so it's a lot easier to see. So this was where a lot of the data that I had to get, I put in. When landing on the page, get all messages and show them to the user. Use all service to get messages. That's what that function is. This one deletes the function after clicking it, as I showed you earlier, and this refreshes it. Refreshes user data by making a request to the server. So it's constantly running. If I was to change something, it would update right away. This is when submitting to the add form, send it text to Node API. So this was the back end stuff, and we use Visual Studio for that. So that pretty much sums it up. Again, I'll show you the demo. John, hello, testing. Manny, testing. And then if you simply click them, it'll delete, and the counter updates. So the counter was in the code as well. I could show you that as well. We just go to code. We're gonna put the counter over. Yeah, it's in the code.